Spelunker potions used to give off light on the ores they highlighted, meaning that ores could also light up parts of the minimap. This was changed in 1.2.3 because that was pretty dumb. In previous versions, Spelunker potions would also shine a different bluer tone compared to the uniform yellow-orange tone given to ores today. If you shove a giant tortoise in water, it will spin endlessly. This also occurs with its icebound counterpart, the ice tortoise. There is a Japanese Terraria wiki for the old-gen Japanese version of Terraria, called terrariacs.arsenserve. As far as I can tell, the Japanese version of Terraria was never released past 1.2, and this wiki is also rather incomplete compared to the international Terraria wiki. If you wish to explore it yourself, this is the URL, and good luck. Visit at your own risk though, I am not responsible if anything bad happens to you. Much like everything the Terrarian uses, the Breaker Blade, if made out of pure iron, would easily weigh thousands of kilograms. The Pearlstone brick is made out of pearl sand and pearl stone. Despite being twice as concentrated as its biome-spreading components, it itself is completely incapable of spreading to hollow. Before 1.2, only jewels were available to mine hard mode ores. Combine this with a lack of smart cursor and you can probably tell why pickaxe variants were introduced in 1.2. Personally, I have to put up the drill sound in between the Celestial Starboard and whip crack in terms of annoyance. While only showing 3 swords on the icon, Ghost Stars Infinity 8 is made up of, you guessed it, 8 swords. It also happens to be the wing vanity I use, since I've gotten a few comments about that. Lazar's Barrier Platform, Eurazer's Spell, the Hoverboard, and Beetle Wings are the only wings that are completely silent. To be honest, I'd expect non-moving wings like Arcalis' Light Wings in Ghost Stars Infinity 8 to also be silent, but I guess it never got implemented. The rocket boots let you fly for exactly 100 ticks of real time or 1.667 seconds. However, they only add 0.7 seconds of flight time when used with wings. The Frostspark boots are called Shuanghua Xue in Chinese, which literally translates to Frost Flower Boots. In the Japanese version of Terraria, fallen stars are called Ohoshi-sama. Now, I know that O is an honorable prefix and Sama is an elevated honorific, but apparently it's something about respecting the stars. I don't know man, I'm not versed in Japanese culture. Either way, it doesn't mean fallen star literally. As the jellyfish necklace is dimmer than that of the mining helmet, wearing the mining helmet will completely negate the effects of the necklace. Terraria uses the alternative spelling absorbent in lava absorbent and super absorbent sponge. Many people like myself use the spelling absorbent with an E. The weapon with the highest armor penetration in the game is the Dark Harvest, as the dark energy it emits ignores 50 defense. This, however, only applies to the dark energy. The Torch God actually has an NPC in the game, ID 664. It's only used for the Torch God's Bestiary entry though. On the topic of the Torch God, its event is actually called Happy Fun Torch Time in the code. Sure, burning people to death is happy and fun, okay. Ladybugs are heavily involved in luck in Terraria. For example, their bait power is 17%, an unlucky number in Italy. Touching them increases your luck, but killing or using them as bait decreases your luck. As far as I can tell, crafting and catching them doesn't impact your luck, which means you can brew them into potion slush guilt-free. Even then, you actually get positive luck. Much like the umbrella, if you swing the breathing reed, its special effect goes away. This is due to the fact that the tip is no longer above water when you swing it forward. The Life Force potion doesn't actually give you 20% more HP, but instead 20 HP per full 100. This means that a player with 450 HP doesn't get 540 HP, but 530 instead. You may have noticed this if you ever used a Life Force potion while having an incomplete amount of life fruit. When you equip the suspicious grinning eye with the suspicious looking tentacle, the suspicious grinning eye will move behind the player instead of its normal position in front of the player. This lets the light pet stay in front of the player instead. The Slime Prince buff tooltip is he answers to a higher authority, while the Slime Princess's is she is the higher authority. Does this mean the prince answers to the princess, or the queen? Who knows? I don't make slime monarchical hierarchies. Developer items drop from every hard mode treasure bag except the queen slimes. There is no reason given, but perhaps it's an oversight. Lane 4's Luxury Shampoo has a tooltip brought to you by Lane Corp. This does confirm the existence of large cosmetic corporations in the lands of Terraria. The elusive Lesser Restoration Potion used to be craftable, but in 1.3 the recipe was removed in favor of the Restoration Potion. It was still obtainable through Hell Shadow chests though. However, they decided to permanently remove it in 1.4, and without modifications, all Lesser Restoration Potions are replaced with Restoration Potions upon loading. This is also why the Restoration Potion doesn't feature the golden band found on other potions that helps with distinguishing it. It never needed to be distinguished past 1.2, and so while the old sprite has the golden band, the new 1.3 sprite removed it. While the Spectre Pickaxe is slower than both the Drax and Pickaxe Axe, it does have that +3 extra range, so I guess some people would want to craft it. The transliteration of Cthulhu in Chinese is Kusulu. The lizard name is actually a corrupted spelling of lizard, not the obvious English spelling Lizaherd. Then maybe I'm just weird. Logic gates in Terraria have green and red on their sprites, but these colors actually mean something. AND gates are true when only all inputs are true, so all 4 corners are green. NAND gates are true when any input is false, so all 4 corners are red. OR gates are true if at least one input is true, so 2 corners are green. NOR gates are true if any inputs are false, so the opposite 2 corners are red. Exclusive OR gates are true if only one lamp is active, so it's a mix of red and green. Exclusive NOR gates are true if the number of lamps is not 1, so it's an inverted exclusive OR. Unfortunately, real logic didn't make it into a truth table, which is quite sad. Maybe in 1.4.5. A lot of native Japanese weapons with Japanese names are written in katakana phonetic script in the Japanese translation, not in their native kanji logogram form. For example, the Shioriken is written as this instead of this, and this is also a pattern seen in the other weapons Tonbogiri and Katana. In fact, much of Japanese Terraria is written in kana, largely due to the high amount of foreign loanwords and possibly to appeal to a younger audience. The Japanese Terraria wiki actually writes Shioriken in both katakana and its kanji form, which made its page kind of a pain to find. The international wiki actually doesn't have this fact in the Shuriken's wiki trivia page, unlike the katana and Tonbogiri, so actually someone go add that. Thanks. In the drunk world, both silver and tungsten are present. This causes a problem for the arms dealer who can only sell one type of bullet. To remedy this, he just sells whichever ore is more plentiful in the world. To refresh his decision, simply reload the world. ChippyGaming passed his hero and subscriber count sometime in August 2019, becoming the largest Terraria YouTuber, a title he has held since. He had around 550,000 subscribers at the time, and currently has around 1.13 million. Slime Rain can only occur in a world where the player has at least 140 HP and 8 defense, unless you are in expert mode. It can occur at any time in that world, though the chance is much lower if the standard criteria are not met. There are 14 different sword appearances for the Sky Fracture, all slightly different. Here they are. Every single one of the golfer's names are full names, except for one, William. The Truffle's eyes are significantly more recessed and tired looking in 1.3. After undergoing therapy, he's nice and chill now in 1.4. In 1.4, they added +1 range to the laser drill, at the cost of its axe power. Ouch. As the pair of eyeballs refers to retinaser and spasmatism as Rez and Spaz, those seem to be their official diminutive nicknames. Rez still seems a bit weird though, as the Z is its 7th letter in its name. The Eye of Cthulhu has blue eyes, while the twins have red and green eyes. The twins are obviously color-coded through their emissions, and I'm guessing the eye fits in conveniently with the 3-color group. Cursed flames burn green, a color that is not on the black body emission spectrum. This means cursed flames contain a chemical that changes the color of light emitted when burnt. For example, copper sulfate produces green flames of a similar color when burnt. In 1.2.0.3 and 1.2.1, the Eater's Bone was actually unobtainable because the Eater of Worlds would drop a Blend-O-Matic in its place. This is because of, you guessed it, a typo. The Eater's Bone is item ID 994 and the Blend-O-Matic is item ID 995. Both the Ebon Koi and Toxicarp can be caught in the corruption. Both are also a type of carp. Of all the beam swords, only the Terror Beam doesn't resemble the sword in question, at least shape-wise. And finally, considering that the graveyard is made of your own tombstones, wouldn't the ghosts be apparitions of you? I guess it's something to think about.